The major national dialogue that was held in Cameroon from September 30 to October 4, 2029 proposed a special status for the Northwest and Southwest regions as one of several solutions to the bloody separatist crisis. Elections in the regional councils were held on December 6, 2020. Results were proclaimed by December 20, 2021, and officials took office in January 2021. This week, the Minister of Decentralisation, on the occasion of African Decentralisation Day, traveled to Boya to preach the virtues of decentralization. And so we are asking, what has become of the special status? Is administration now closer to the people? What autonomy has the Northwest and Southwest got over their affairs? We are asking what local developments have they carried out since they were installed, and what is the regional assembly doing as we speak? Is the effect too little, too late, as some people claim, pointing at the deepening conflict and the loss of lives and destruction of property in the Northwest and Southwest region? To tell us if the special status is a myth or reality this far are four gentlemen. Wancho Enesngu, Director of Human Resources at the Ministry of Decentralisation. So you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Moki, for having me.
We have got Christian Bibo, who is journalist and publisher of the Guardian Post newspaper. Christian, welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me once more to share my views on some of the sensitive issues that concern the life of this nation.
Matute Mignole is senior journalist at CRTV. Matute Mignole, welcome to the program, sir.
Yes, thank you, Moki, for having me. It's been a while. I'm happy to be here.
Welcome to your program. And we have Prince Ekoso, who is chairman of the USDP, or national president of the USDP party. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Moki. It's a pleasure once again to be here and to discuss the issues that menace the tranquility of our country.
We shall also find out if the ongoing elections into basic organs of the CPDM is mending bridges and healing old wounds, or creating further division within Cameroon's strongest and topmost party. This is Press Hour. This is CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. I will be back after a review of what newspapers reported during the week. Is with Rita Makang.
Operations to renew the basic organs of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM party, heated the press this week. The Guardian Post of Monday, August 9, in a controversial caption, says Jean Kuete rebels against Biya. According to the newspaper, there are increasing fears that the election of a new CPDM section president for Mezamtou Santa may be characterized by serious bad-mouthing and violence. At the origin of the tense atmosphere, the Guardian Post gathered, is what CPDM party supporters have qualified as unilateral, verbal and controversial decision taken by the ruling party scribe Jean Kuete to cancel earlier written directives of the CPDM national president Paul Biya. The national bilingual news daily, Cameroon Tribune, on its part, noted that traditional rulers are ineligible for CPDM elections at the grassroots. In application of the current text governing the basic organs of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the hierarchy of the party has decided that auxiliaries of the administration will no longer be candidates in the ongoing elections into the party structures. In the same light, the Guardian Post of August 12 indicated that party bars 46 incumbent section presidents from contesting. The paper reports that the hierarchy of the party has gone tough against incumbent section presidents in areas where the party lost to opposition parties in the February 9, 2020 twin polls. While these local party officials might have forgotten about the polls and looking forward to reposition themselves as the bosses of the concerned sections, the CPDM party hierarchy has opted for something new. For the post-weekender, CPDM is the state and vice versa. In a commentary, the newspaper tells us that given its status as the ruling party, no one in this country should be indifferent to the ongoing renewal of the executives of the CPDM basic organs. For if the CPDM is sick, it is indeed the whole of Cameroon that is sick. The post-weekender backs up this viewpoint by saying that during the reorganization period, it is likely that many state officials will use state personnel, administrative cars, and other paraphernalia in the exercise. Nothing was hidden under the Sun newspaper of this week. The tabloid revealed untold accounts from the ground following blockage of roads in the northwest region. The Sun's gripping investigation into the blockages tells us that for over a week now, the only road leading to the entire Boyo division has been blocked at 3 points along the road beginning from Capuchin Junction in Bambui to Mile 10 and Mile 11 by armed men believed to be Ambazonia restoration fighters in Tuba. Government intransigence to crisis-affected Northwest has been the focus of this week's outing of the Herald Tribune, which gave us statistics on how Doctors Without Borders was necessary evil to population. The medical humanitarian organization provided nothing less than 42,578 consultations within communities, transported over 4,407 patients, with more than 1,000 of whom were pregnant women about to give birth, as well as treated 180 survivors of sexual violence. The 620th edition of the Horizon newspaper highlights the reason for the arrest of Rebecca Enonchong. The Attorney General is reported to have verbally ordered that she should be held at the Gendarmerie Legion in Douala for allegedly contempt court. During a meeting with the General Prosecutor Tuesday, August 10, the African heavyweight tech entrepreneur requested that cases concerning her should be investigated by a single inspector, a request which reportedly annoyed the Attorney General, who took it as an offense. The Horizon further reassures by saying that Rebecca has been released and is in good health and excellent spirit. In sports, Cameroon will undoubtedly be at the center of attention next Tuesday, August 17, for the AFCON draw ceremony. Cameroon Tribune informs us that rehearsals for the ceremony have intensified and CAF delegations and special guests are already arriving in the country to take part in the colorful event. Meantime, the Secretary General of the Confederation of African Football, Veron Mosengo Umba, will grant a press conference in Yaoundé this Sunday.
Thanks, Rita. Now, gentlemen, we just followed what newspapers reported during the week, and let's start with Matute Mignole. Something maybe attracted your attention.
Yes, the story of Rebecca Enonchong and the noise around it. So many media houses reporting on it, and of course the intervention. We hear there's a lot of intervention from some foreign powers. I think that it provokes us to really want to know more about the story behind arrest.
Mm-hmm. Besides that?
Well, there are so many other stories, even the visit of the Minister of Decentralisation to the Southwest, for example. I think we, as an Anglophone, first of all, and so many Cameroonians, we are just anxiously waiting that things are really going to work. I mean, decentralization, the real sense of it.
Okay, let me finish the newsmen who are here before I get to the others. Christian, you followed the newspapers reported.
Yeah, but before I pick out what caught my attention, I think I just want to add my voice to what my senior colleague Mignole is saying about Enonchong Rebecca. Just to add that she's already been released, and I just wanted to make that clarification.
Why was there a lot of noise made about an incident where she was called to order? Maybe
no.
From what other newspapers reported.
The first thing you have to know is that even let's forget about who she is within and without Cameroon. The fact that she's a lady would call for more sympathy. And then from reports, she was arrested based on verbal instructions, as we hear, because we've not had the facts on the ground. But those who are familiar with the story, that is what they are churning out to say that somebody can just be arrested through a phone call, if that is true. And that is why there was a lot of, so many personalities, tweeted. I read that of Thibaut Nagy, who was shaming Cameroon for getting involved in that kind of arrangement. And I'm sure the French also did, and pressure, as we saw, and finally she was released late on Friday. And I think from her own testimony, the matter has been laid to rest, and she said no charges were leveled against her. And so we hope that the wrongs have been corrected, and that next time we should be careful not to drag the judiciary image in mud, because the development attracted a lot of catcalls from the international community.
And the second thing?
I'm interested in this story in the Post, which is talking about the state is, the CBDM is a state and vice versa. It could not be better said. They launched the reorganization exercise yesterday across the country. If you go to Bamenda and the southwest and the far north, you realize that most of the cars they are using for the exercise are CAs. That's the central administration cars. And you believe with me, it is not there. It is not really. It's not documented, but most of them are on mission, even though they are going for party activities. Some of the cars they will use for the exercise are government vehicles that are supposed to be used to save Cameroonians, irrespective of their political leanings. And you will also realize that most offices from Monday or the Tuesday, which is going to be a working day, will be empty because they are all on the field to...
You talk about CPDM second presidents, and you talk about...
No, but those who are going to oversee the reorganization exercise are top officials who are also government officials. And they will be paid even though they're out there to reorganize the ruling party.
Well, thanks for what you're saying, but it's also good to confirm as reporters if they'll be paid for that. Now, Mr. Joe Ennis.
Yeah, quite a number of issues caught my attention from the press review. Naturally, the first one would be the working visit of my minister, Mr. George Elanga Obam, to the Southwest region. I was part of that delegation and I'm just coming back. I told you at the beginning I wasn't very certain whether I was going to be here, but finally we are here, God willing. So the working visit in the Southwest, we had about 4 phases at least. So it was very intensive. The first of all, we had in Limbe 2 international days that we were launching in the Southwest. The first one was the International Day of Decentralisation and Local Development, and the second was the African Day of Civil Status and Vital Statistics, and those 2 were done, one the first part in Limbe, the second part in Boya, where we carried out a massive marriage ceremony at the Boya Council. The following day, this one concerns me particularly as Director of Human Resources, we launched the first nationwide seminar for capacity building of local elected officials that was done in Boya, where we grouped all the mayors and deputy mayors of the Southwest region in the premises of the National School of Local Administration to be able to make them keep abreast with what we call the Bible of Decentralization, that is a code signed in December 2019. And the last of it before the minister came back to Yaoundé was another working visit with the regional authorities this time to try to, it was like some sort of another capacity building, not a workshop, but just a very indoor session with all the regional stakeholders in the Southwest region so that they could be taught on how to draw up development projects for their region.
Okay, we shall talk about that in the first part of this program, the first theme we're developing. And Prince Ekoso, you also followed what Christian and his newspapers with Matthew Domignoli reported during the week.
Yeah, sure. I followed quite well, and honestly speaking, queuing with all the various contributions that have been made so far, I want to look at the aspect of, I think it was the Guardian Post that mentioned about the auxiliaries to the administration, that is the chiefs, who
that are not supposed to take part
in the CPDM anymore, because that has always been the case. But looking at the way the CPDM has been operating in this country, we continue to doubt whether the idea or the fact that that is what they are saying is going to be implemented, because we have a problem with the application of text in this country.
If there are instructions by party hierarchy, what do you think will not be applied?
There are a lot of instructions that have been given with regards to hierarchy in this country, which has never been respected. Talk less of the norms of the country, which is the constitution, which is being abused daily in this country. Talking about the arrest of someone like Rebecca Enonchon, by phone call, those are all aspects that actually shames the country. And we are saying that if the auxiliaries to the administration, who are the chiefs, in fact, that name should be scraped out from their appellation. You cannot say chiefs are auxiliary to the administration. When you put that in context, you will be actually asking them to assist the CPDM, because when we look at the way the government does its things, the CPDM is the government and the government is the CPDM.
Can we keep that for the second part when we start talking about the CPDM?
I don't have an issue with that.
But I may beg to differ with you. When they say auxiliaries of the administration, they did not say auxiliaries of CPDM.
No, but as auxiliary of the CPDM, or when we say administration, the CPDM functions as if it is the administration of this country.
Now, we continue talking about our first topic today, which is if this decentralization, the special status of the Northwest and Southwest region is a myth or a reality because of the long time it seems to be taken ever since the officials were installed and elections were carried out by the officials installed. Now, I'll start with you, sir, Director of Human Resources, Ministry of Decentralization. What has changed?
Quite a lot has changed. Quite a lot has changed. And most often when I hear decentralization, myth or reality, I have the impression that we think decentralization is we tie it only to regionalization. Decentralization, I can do a short reminder, is the transfer of powers from the central authority to the peripheries. And this power means there is autonomy, the legal autonomy, financial and administrative autonomy, as well as competencies in which those powers can be exercised. And in Cameroon, we have two levels of those peripheral powers to which the competencies or powers have been moved. The basic of them is the council. The second level is the region. And we have always had councils in Cameroon. The fact that the latest law that we call the Code on the General Code on Regional and Local Authorities was promulgated in 2019 doesn't mean that decentralization is not moving.
Can we narrow it down to the special status? Because that's where our question is this special status a myth or a reality?
Okay, I'm coming there. So, because at the end of the day, the special status, we will see that it has much to do with the regions. Because since we have already had councils, like I said, it is at the level of regionalization now. Because amongst all the 10 regions, the Constitution said because of the specificities of certain regions, a special status could be granted to them. That is Article 3 of the Constitution. Now the code comes now and puts more impetus, Article 62 of the Constitution. The code comes now and puts more impetus, takes from what the constitutional provision and adds, and then moves further to say what the regions will do. I mean, those that shall be given the special status. We had the regional elections in December of the year 2020. That is just a year after the code was promulgated, and then the elected officials took
office in January.
In January of this year. In April of this year, they had their budgetary session, and after they had their session as of right in January to elect their executives. In January, throughout the national territory, we came out with the first budget for all in April, May, for all the regions. And that effectively marks, because when you vote your budget, that is where you start making your programs. Is it late? I don't think so. 4 months after assuming office for me is not long. Okay,
we'll come back to you, Christian.
Because there are a number of things we have said that just looking at them and hearing him talking, they sound very good to the ear, but when you go down the field, you see that there's a big dichotomy. Number one, you talk about decentralization. I don't even want to talk about the so-called special status, because that one is a dream that maybe will come when some of us are already working on using walking sticks, because I don't see it coming. He's talked so much about the minister going to the southwest and holding meetings left, right, center, and backward. But what effectively did the minister take to the southwest in terms of concrete development projects? Because, like the national president of the USDP said, we are in a country where people believe in talking and making noise and being seen on TV. It is not long ago that we had the outburst from a senior member of the Senate complaining that we cannot be talking about the special status for the Northwest and Southwest and drumming decentralization, and the regional councils are all their furniture and even computers are bought by the Decentralization Ministry in Yaoundé. So what decentralization are we talking about?
So if I could come in now.
Just come in for go to
yes,
the next.
It's better for me to come in now so that I don't forget. My mate to my left, Mr. Anga,
he's saying that decentralization does not include buying of computers for regional councils that are supposed to
and even the furniture.
The minister went to the southwest. What project did the minister take to the south? And you see, sometimes we ask ourselves, what do we really want? We want concrete things to be done, and things should be done by people on the ground.
Yeah.
And if you ask me what projects did the minister take down, I think you are now saying one thing and is direct opposite. Why should the minister go down with projects? The projects should be drawn from the ground. That is why I said in April of this year, the regions had their budget, voted their budgets and their plan of action.
How much was the budget?
Let them. I'm not interested in how much was given to them. My point is they had their first budgetary session, which enumerates what they are going to do. We don't need to ring a bell for them to start saying, this is time for you to act. They voted their budget.
Okay, fine. I'll see actually whether...
No, Muki, let's not go away with the wrong impression, please. This is what I said. I expected the Minister of Decentralization on his tour to the southwest, whether he was holding meetings or seminars or whatever, to say, within my years in office as Minister of Decentralization, this is what the southwest region has benefited in terms of releasing development projects or releasing finances for the region to develop.
Yeah, but let's not forget that, Christian, that the minister...
excuse me, please.
We're talking about
Muki,
the special status. No, I'm not interrupting. I'm just simply bring you back to what we're talking about. Mm-hmm.
We are talking about a special status which was discussed at the major national dialogue, which was understood that it was going to take the development of the two regions in crisis far above any other region.
And solve the crisis.
Not solve the crisis, as a solution to the crisis, as one of.
Mm-hmm.
But he's talking about the regional councils voted budget, the Northwest and Southwest. When you have a budget of less than $1 billion for a region that has been completely ruined by this crisis, is it a budget for the regional council offices to get functional or to develop the region?
I hope he's going to answer that. But there is a special plan for the reconstruction of the Northwest and South region, which is not part of the budget sent to the regions. We'll come to that.
No, we're talking about...
Now, what is your take on it? Let's start with with Prince Acosta first. We'll come to you.
Well, thank you once again, Edwin. You know, sometimes it's very hard to sit in a panel like this and really construct what Cameroonians expect to hear from us. Because basically, Cameroonians have a lot of questions that the administration is either refusing to answer, to give response, or they don't have the response at all. We must understand that the aspect or the concept of special status emanated as a result of the crisis. Are we there? The crisis came as a result of historical mismanagement of those two regions. Now, what is special status in its sense? Why did they prescribe special status to the Northwest and the Southwest? Was to solve the problem. The question we ask ourselves, what is the role now of decentralization in the process of implementing the special status? Decentralization was enacted in this country since 1996, for crying out loud. In 2016, the crisis began. We are in 2021. We have gone back now to the shelves, take documents of decentralization that has never worked and which will never work. And we are sending the minister to go to the Southwest to go and launch African Day of Decentralization. Crying out loud. This is like, it's getting me crazy right now. The special status in itself has nothing to do with solving the historical deficiencies of the Northwest and the Southwest. We must underscore that very well. The Northwest and the Southwest came as a property or as a contribution to this nation through a federal constitution. And it must be based on that irony or that error which was created in 1972 for us to be able to solve the problem.
Now, we're not talking about going back to the major national dialogue. We are saying that the major national dialogue that brought together many Cameroonians decided on this. How far have we gone implementing it?
That is what I'm trying to explain.
You're going out of the topic and bringing a historical perspective.
I want us to make ourselves to know what we are saying here. We are saying that the special status has not gone anywhere. It will not go anywhere. And the element of the special status is being confused by what my brother went to the Southwest to go and do with his minister.
Thank you. Let's get the opinion of Matute Menyole.
Yes, I think we are here to try to help Cameroonians try to understand this whole issue of special status. Because to be very honest, there are so many people who are confused and they don't really understand what special status is all about. My brother, Mr. Cho, a moment ago, explained how the decentralization has already taken off, right up to the point of the regional councils voting a budget and things like that. But that is where I have my first hitch. The vote, it was a general thing that was done in all the regions. So there was nothing special, I mean, for the Southwest and
the Northwest.
For the Northwest, as we expected. Because when I tried to read the text concerning the special status, even if it did not really appear very satisfactory to me and to any people, but the expectation is that after the appointments of you call them the independent consultants, one would have expected that we will move forward and that the results are quite tangible. Like, for example, they talk about the development of their own educational system. You know, I mean, within the special status and of course the justice policies. So one will expect that after the appointment of those independent consulatories, we will move ahead and that the Cameroonians of the Southwest and Northwest regions will feel that this, there's something really special for them.
Now, so you've been called again here as the person really wearing the shoe and know where it pinches. That there were three commissioners: the Economic and Development Commissioner, the Health and Social Development Commissioner, the Education, Sports and Cultural Development Commissioner appointed now. He's saying that... Elected. He is saying that after their taking of office, nothing concrete seems to be happening because I've not seen them going to work to do the things they're supposed to do, and the crisis continuing in the two regions.
Yeah. Perhaps I should start with the last observation. The crisis continue. Honestly speaking, the special status is not or was not a panacea to solving the crisis. We should bear that in mind, and we shouldn't be shy to say it anywhere, everywhere we are. We have several other measures that we can be implemented for the crisis today, and it's not by granting the special status that the special status was granted. And it is, let me repeat what the Constitution says, by virtue of some differences in by history, by language, by culture, that is what the special status is. And if because we have been doing things differently in the past, we think that if it is given to those regions that have been doing those things differently, will it make them feel more belonged there was a sense of belonging. At the end of the day, it was a sense of belonging. When you do that in a state which is unitary and decentralized, because we shouldn't also lose sight of the fact that it is still a unitary but decentralized state. Within that context, you are given an opportunity to do as you were doing before you got yourself into that unitary state. That is just, it's not like we want to change the form of the state. That can be the topic of another debate. But now, concerning the second part, those officials were elected, all the 3 commissioners were elected to do this, to do this, to do this. I don't know now whether it is for the central government or the minister, for crying out loud, who should tell them that time has started for you to work. They are elected people.
To work with what?
Please. we are all in agreement that they have a budget and they have a plan of action. If you have a plan of action now, who carries out your plan?
Now
of
you are
action?
blaming them for not working.
No, I am not blaming anybody. I am saying what is.
Start working now.
Fine. I am saying what is that we have gone right to that. Even my brother Matute knows that we have gone right to the election of people who have been given responsibilities to carry out. I'll tell you one thing. You might not know the region of the Northwest, the Regional Assembly of the Northwest is already planning next week, beginning Tuesday, to have a general assembly of
another meeting.
Another meeting.
No, but nothing comes from ex nihilo. Everything must first of all come from a board. Unlike when we Anglophones or people of English instruction, when we would like to talk, we always talk about let us negotiate or let us go to the table. And what is the table? What does the table represent? Is it not a meeting? Is it not a dialogue? Now, if the House of Chiefs of the South of the Northwest regions is organizing a consultation of all the chiefs of the region, is it not as first of all one step forward to show that special status is en marche? Secondly, who are those who are going to speak on behalf of the people?
We'll find, now, sir, let us go out of this topic.
No,
now.
Okay, please.
I have a question for you. Before you are going out, we'll talk before we go out of it, Mr. I have a question for you. You told Christian that it is not good. I mean, you did not give the amount to Christian how much you gave as a budget. We're talking of transparency here, and I think the Minister of Decentralisation should be one of those preaching transparency. How much is the budget that people allocated to the regions, to the especially for this special status?
I know that it was more than the 1 billion that Mr. Nga said. And yeah, it's more than 1 billion that Mr. Nga said. Perhaps what we should try to not paint everything white is the opinion of Matute, who said it was a global sum that was given to all the regions the same, right? Without taking into consideration that we have special status this way so that their own could have been higher. That it's an argument that I buy completely. But to say that they weren't giving, that it was small, it is not true. First, and then I follow up by saying that yes, it was roughly 3 billion, 3 for everybody, and was to kickstart. You kickstart, and at the end of the day, you start looking for other means of raising your own funds. Is
that what the special status is all about?
All the financing of projects in the regions must not only come from.
There is a public investment budget that's out of it. Now
we're coming to it. The public investment budget says that the government shall grant at least, remember, from the Common Decentralization Fund, at least 15% of the state budget for the year should get to decentralization. Have we gotten to that figure? I don't know. I don't work with the financial department of Cameroon. But from time to time, I follow debates which say that we haven't gotten to it. If I have to conclude on how much, or as far as funding of decentralization is concerned, I say it was a start, and I think things are going to be better.
Let's move on. Christian, yes, your last word on this.
Yes.
On this.
No, I just want the Mr. Director to clarify the Anglophone public, because many people think that the special status, which is being trumpeted by Yaoundé, was a hoax. Let him tell us exactly how soon. Number one, I read through the budget of this year of the Ministry of Decentralization, and I didn't see what was allocated for the special status. We thought that Parliament was going to meet and discuss a budget for the special status. We did not hear about that. I want him to tell us if it was an error and that error will be corrected during the next year, 2022, so that we can be hoping that at last we will have the special status for these two regions?
Yeah, to cut a long story short, the Ministry of Decentralization is not the authority in whose budget the funding for decentralization passes through. That is why you read through it and didn't see it. You won't see it. But the Ministry of Decentralization can always make room for grants from its own budget to send to the regions.
No, that one will be giving at his
Christian, fine. And I said that
when it goes through Parliament, it becomes obligatory.
So that's why I said that was done. So the Ministry of
Mr.
Decentralization did that. That you can see there. But when it comes to state budget, each ministry, please let me make this very clear. Each ministry has those powers, those competencies that were sent. They were taken from different ministries, 20 at least. And it is from there that you have how much goes. Remember, when we talk about decentralization, there's a principle that we must hammer on: concomitance. When you transfer power, you must at the same time transfer the resources necessary for the carrying out or the implementation of those powers. And they must only come from, as the powers go, the finances go. You cannot get them from the decentralization ministry.
Thank you, sir. We will not be able to get your conclusions on this topic because we have another topic which I think is also important for you, sir.
I don't think that...
30 seconds, 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
Justice on this panel. Now, one of the things that I wanted to find out, when we talk about...
No, please conclude. Don't ask questions to him again because he will not be able to answer.
I can conclude by asking question. The question must not necessarily be answered.
Go ahead, then.
The issue is I heard about giving powers to local authorities, which is decentralization. I asked myself, powers is given to, we know that in a democratic setup, power comes from the people, which is through elections. And in this process of decentralization, in the process of special status, we have not actually involved the people who are the custodian of power, the authority to be able to make their choices for who should be able to govern them.
What do you mean? Anyway, that's a concluding statement. We are not going back to it because elections are conducted in Cameroon, democratic elections. And
elections are conducted in Cameroon at what level and for what purpose?
Your opinion
that is one of the things that we must understand. That the special status.
Would you allow to have the second part of this debate, sir? I said 30 seconds.
If I didn't come here to talk, then I should have been in the house.
You've taken over 30 seconds, sir. You propose.
Christian, Edwin, I am here to talk. I think
within a particular time frame, sir.
You don't want, those are some of the things that opposition find it difficult in this country because you people don't want us to talk. This is a state TV for crying out loud. And if I come here, there are people who know that I'm here and they want to listen to me talk their opinion.
Let me cancel the 30 seconds and give you another 30 seconds, sir. Can you conclude on this special status?
What I am saying is that the special status with regards to the process of its application has not given the people who are going to benefit from that special status that understanding and that feeling that the special status is going to solve their problem. Because everything about what we are discussing here is to solve the problems of our local population. And if they are not involved, because we are speaking big grammar here, some of them don't even understand, our mothers in the village don't even understand what we are talking about. That is why proper transfer of power should have been the people making their choices in the special status.
Matthew Mignole?
Well, I think that would have been really interesting that we leave this place convinced and being able to convince those who are watching us what special status is all about. And of course, in very concrete terms, where we are at the moment and where we are going from here.
I think he said it, that already they have given resources to the regional councils,
including the 8
other regions.
So where
is the duty now of those people to start working on?
Because I don't see the treatment of his...
He also said, in that regard, it's not his own to decide. If you're joining us now, you're watching Press Hour. This is CRTV. Let's have a break. Now, officials of the CPDM party are in the regions, the 360 subdivisions, trying to do elections into their basic organs. And we started by commenting on it. Just now, I want to know the measures taken by the officials are to reduce the problems the parties are having. Now, corrupt leaders are not, people suspected of corrupt practices will not be voted. Traditional rulers have been kept aside, and done some 46 incumbent section presidents, to go by the Guardian Post report, have been stopped from contesting. Now, Matuto Mignoli, do you think this will solve the problems that some supporters of CPDM have been complaining about, or may deepen the divide?
Yes, I think that somebody said on this panel that sometimes we have we put rules and regulations, but we hardly respect them. But if we were to go by the text that came from the president of the party, or the chair of the party,
the president. The CPDM calls it president. Okay,
of the party, I think that at the end of the day, it will solve so many problems, because you know that in 2015, the renewals of 2015 created so many cracks within the party, and the base was always complaining that most leaders were imposed on them at certain levels. I think they were just chosen. So I think that normally, that is the intention of the president of the party. But at the roots, or what will happen on the field, well, that might be.
Prince Ekoso?
Well, I think it's where you talk about CPDM building bridges, right? I don't understand. It's not my place to be able to talk about the internal workings of the CPDM, but at the same time,
your opinion.
Yeah, at the same time, I want to link it up with the way that the CPDM function in this country, that all Cameroonians know. The CPDM is the administration, and the administration is the CPDM. And I want to move out, not moving out, I want to digress a little bit with regards to the building of bridges by the CPDM. If the CPDM actually is a party for local development, that is, the grassroots have a say about who becomes their section president and what do you have, we must understand that the way the CPDM has been running the country is synonymous to the way they have been operating within their setup. Because you take it, the president or the chairman of the party takes a decision today that, okay, I want that the grassroots should be able to take part and be able to choose who is going to be their section president or their subsection president. Tomorrow you see something else in the functioning. It's the same thing the way Cameroons have been living. There are a lot of breaking bridges or broken bridges within the context of managing this country. For example, the second bridge that was built in Vori, we understand that it was a French company that took that contract. At the end of the day, it was a Chinese that was building it. All the signs were there. And we ask ourselves that what has become of the civil engineering of this country, who graduate from Advanced School of Public Works? Do we have them participating in building our bridges?
So your suggestion is that
have them?
The CPDM should allow the grassroots to choose their...
The CPDM should actually assume the responsibility that they have failed in the way that they have been able to carry out politics in this country. The CPDM seems not to be a political party. It seems to be a club of people who make decisions for themselves.
Okay, sir. Let's continue. I know you are here purposely for the spare status, but you have your opinion too with the CPDM.
Yes, they say the human being is what? Homus politicus. If you don't do politics, politics will do you. So you cannot stay away from politics. So everybody must have their opinion. I have my own opinion, considering the fact that it is also a party in which I militate. Now, building bridges, I would say yes. The example Mr. Moki you took of 2015 is very glaring. It's 2015
during the last...
the presidential elections were in 13, but the organs were...
18. Presidential election was 18.
No, not this one. The
2015 renewal of the basic organs of the party, 6 years ago.
Fine. The 2015, that is when they were done. Yeah. And at that time, we had so much gnashing of the teeth of many people saying, Yaoundé keeps on imposing people on us. Everything must come from the ground. And it's a party without talking on behalf of those who are mandated to speak. But what I know is that it's a party that is organized, that has its structures, and the cells are where things should come from. The circular signed by the national president of the CPDM tries to or wants to reiterate the importance of the grassroots, the cells. Now, if it's like in every other situation, in every other organization, you always have people who never want to relinquish what privileges or powers they have been having before. And you always see that fight everywhere in all the institutions. What is happening in the CPDM presently is a fight that the national president wants to quell and make sure that things get back to normal as concerns his vision. He is the founder of the party and thinks that things should move in a particular way. And that is why he signed that particular...
Thank you. Dr. 46 incumbent presidents asked not to run. These are 46 potential, from what newspapers are saying, 46 potential opposition members to the CPDM.
Well, let me answer that question quickly. To say that I think the CPDM is, those 46 would not, in my opinion, they would not immediately resign from the party because they have been asked not to run just for this particular election, which means that they can go back to the drawing board and see where they went wrong and then maybe come back. We've seen people suspended and then reinstated in the party. So it is not already something, a development that means that they will leave the party. That is my opinion. But I think I would like to talk about the vision and the directives of the president of the party. And I think the problem within the CPDM is that the national president of that party is far away from the reality on the ground. That is why most often some of the directives are not respected. There was a story, coincidentally was carried in the Guardian Post, where I work, and where one of the key directives that has to do with incompatibility is being already abused by the Secretary General of that party, where the president said in Article 3 of that directive circular that if you are working at the General Secretariat of the CPDM, you are not supposed to take part in the election of the section because they are charged with the reorganization exercise. And I suggest that the president took that decision because he didn't want a situation where you be a referee and a player at the same time.
Exactly.
That was a written directive, Article 3 of that circular. But in a meeting that was held a week ago, the Secretary General, in what is understood to be protecting his own people within that secretariat, waived that section of the circular and said those who are concerned can still run. That is where the problem begins. And if the president is silent, we'll have more of those directives being discarded.
Thank you. I trust he has representatives everywhere that are following up and know what to do. Apparently, we'll be having so many reactions to these two topics on the special status of the Northwest and Southwest region and the CPDM party. Elvis, the case here, Elvis. Yes. You've been reading through them.
There have been quite a good number of reactions. To go straight away with that from Makenja Epote Elias, who says special status, he's not feeling it, and he thinks that the mistakes of the past should not be repeated, such as the educational system and the judicial employment. And Quine Jacob says nothing has changed, and he's learning that regional councils are meeting in Yaoundé due to insecurity in the Northwest and Southwest. And Kempendi Regan Chopempo says, why is it only mayors and their deputies attending? And Dukong says decentralization is not his thing. He looks forward for the government doing the right thing. And Quine Jacob says the CPDM and the government are identical twins. Prince Mutapeme Obesa Modika says the CPDM is heading to more fragmentation with the dismissal of some notables, and the party can mend bridges if youths are listened to. And decentralization and special status is still a utopia dream because people are afraid that monies and other resources that they use to benefit wrongly would no longer be at their hands. While Edel says the CPDM party is broadening her base and strengthening her different organs, and the special status is a myth, meaning the special status is heard and not seen. I will continue following. I will bring you more as the program unfolds.
And please, you say we can watch this program online.
Definitely. As we speak now, the program is live on our Facebook page, and the link is also available live on our website, www.crtv.ca.
Gentlemen, we have 3 minutes to conclude. I beg we share the time together to conclude. And two of you take the issue of the special status, the two gentlemen take to conclude, and you take the issue of CPDM to conclude. Now, 1 minute to conclude on special status. What's the take-home message?
There is no special status.
So the take-home message is that people should go and sleep and forget about it?
No. We should go to what works. What works is federalism, and that is what Cameroonians are expecting, especially Anglophones.
And that's what Prince Ekoso is saying, president of the USDP party.
Cameroonians expect.
Thank you, sir. You've seen that CRTV gives you the opportunity to speak, because you said earlier on that...
I pay for this channel.
Thank you. So and what is the take-home as far as this...
special status is a reality. There are 3 levels of it. The theoretical part, that is the text, the constitution gave room for it. The code on decentralization gave room for it. The second aspect is the human resource. We have the actors, the regional councils and the regional assembly. When it comes to special status, is the regional assembly. They are all in place. The last one was the appointment of the public independent conciliator has been done. Now, the third aspect of it is get to work, ladies and gentlemen.
So that
make the man in the grassroots, the man in the field, feel that you are present in the field.
Message pass. Christian, the CPDM?
You see, when he was talking, I was smiling.
Go to the CPDM.
Because he keeps... No, I want to talk about it.
We have less than 2 minutes.
Because he keeps telling people to go to work with what? I think the conclusion is that let's be very clear to our brothers of the Northwest and Southwest. Please don't expect anything about the special status.
I asked you to conclude on the CPDM.
No, I've concluded. There is no special status.
Well, so finally, I am
the only person
to talk about the CPDM. Anyway, I think I just want to say that we hope that the renewal exercise that is ongoing within the CPDM does not leave or create more cracks than it is intended to to heal because of the non-respect of the details of the circular of the president of that party. Because going by what my friend Christian was saying a moment ago, I think that is a really bit disturbing that some people, I mean, it goes for some people, and for others, they say it cannot go. It can create a lot of problems.
Thank you.
I think that once the president of that party ceases from being the president, there will be no CPDM.
One message to take home from the discussion today is that the special status is right on course, and Cameroonians are expecting more. To quote our guest, Chongu Ernest, he says the means has been given and the regional officials should go to work. As for the CPDM, the panelists are saying that the instructions from the chairman of the party or the national president of CPDM party, President Paul Biya, should be respected for peace and order to continue to reign in that party. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching.